The cold has come to Gotham. We're facing a new Mr. Freeze, the absolute Mr. Freeze. Today's another full story day here on the channel about Absolute Batman, and this time we're diving into a story arc called Absolute Zero, which directly continues the first arc, the Zoo. Just from the images, you can tell we're in for something totally different from what we've seen before, so without wasting any time, let's get into the story. The story starts with a flashback. In Tanzania, a kid is traveling with his dad. This kid's name is Victor, and he and his dad are heading to the land of ice to study the glaciers. But Victor isn't happy, he looks sick. Soon, we see the kid's eyes bleeding, and the saga's name is revealed, Absolute Zero. Now, in present-day Gotham, we see the snow covering the entire city. Bruce Wayne's friends are in Crime Alley paying tribute to a buddy who just passed away, a guy named Mitchell Matches Malone. They say Matches was a bit of a nut, and he even got the name Matches from a challenge they used to do when they were kids. Croc asks who saw him last, and just then, Bruce shows up saying he was the last to see Matches alive. The story then flashes back 1 week to show what happened to Matches Malone. In narration, Bruce says the city has been strange since the Black Mask events. Gotham's been put under martial law, the city issued a curfew to keep citizens safe from threats like Batman, and on top of that, a snowstorm is coming. Bruce feels something is going on. He doesn't know what it is, but he senses something big is happening. Wayne suspects it has something to do with Arkham, which is being built on that island. Bruce says he needs to find a way to get in there, and that's why he's standing on the bridge at that moment. Just then, his friend, Matches Malone, shows up. Bruce had asked Matches to forge some fake work papers so he could get access to the island, but he lost contact with Matches for 2 weeks until finally, Matches reached out, saying he needed to meet urgently. Bruce's friend is really nervous. He says he got the papers but also found something even better. Matches looks very worried about something, like he's running from someone. It turns out he had been infiltrated in Arkham for a week. Bruce is worried about his friend taking that risk since it's a dangerous game, but Malone loves a dangerous game. That's when Matches makes a huge revelation to Bruce. Arkham is already operational, even though some parts are still under construction. Malone says they're doing horrible experiments on people inside, and he says he's going back there the next day, but first, he gathered some evidence. Bruce tells him he's not mad, but his friend shouldn't be risking so much for him. Matches says he did it all on his own, but before he can say anything more, his face starts bleeding from little wounds, and then Matches falls to the ground, lifeless. Bruce is freaked out and takes off running, so no one else sees him there. Back to the present, Oswald, Edward, Harvey, and Waylon are all freaked out by this story Bruce just shared. Wayne says his friend died because of a biological weapon, but that's not enough. His friends want to know more about Bruce since he disappeared after the battle with Black Mask. Oswald even jokes about Bruce being dressed as Nosferatu on his plane, but Bruce doesn't want to discuss anything about Batman with his friends. However, Waylon won't let him leave without talking about Batman. The story then cuts to a few days later, where Batman is investigating Matches Malone's death. The Bat says in narration that there weren't many clues on Matches' phone. There was just a 4-second video showing a hallway with several windowless cells and people screaming. At the end of the video, there was a list of names, and these names belonged to researchers, Dr. Langstrom, Isley, Strange, and Freeze. Obviously, these names belong to iconic Batman villains. The Dark Knight investigates these names but can't find any connection to Gotham except for Dr. Victor Freeze, a pioneer in cryotech who started a company called V-Corps. That's why Batman is up in the skies investigating this company. But now he has to be more careful, because Gotham has turned into a besieged city since the curfew began. Several police airships equipped with modern drones are patrolling the city. While Batman dodges the drone attacks, Alfred calls to talk about Matches Malone's death. Alfred reveals to Bruce that Malone's cause of death wasn't biological weapons or a virus, but a bacteria. However, this is completely new, there are no records of this bacteria. Alfred doesn't know where it's coming from, but he and Batman will have a better conversation about it when Alfred gets back to Gotham. In a sequence of gorgeous art, Batman, in true Spider-Man style, performs several maneuvers to dodge the cops while finishing his conversation with Alfred. The story then returns to the moment Bruce was talking to his friends in Crime Alley. Bruce says he's got nothing to say about Batman, but then his friends ask if every time he was with them, he was actually training to be Batman. Wayne cuts them off, saying he doesn't want to put his friends in danger, especially now that Matches is dead. The only thing Bruce wants now is for his friends to get out of his way so he can focus on the mission again. After that, Bruce infiltrates the V-Corps company without being Batman. He goes in like a nobody, and once he's inside, he comes face to face with several frozen animals. Soon, someone shows up saying all these animals are real and came from different parts of the world. Bruce introduces himself as Pennyworth and makes up some excuse for being there. The person he's talking to doesn't suspect a thing, and since everything's going smoothly, Bruce asks if Victor and Nora Freeze are supervising this place. The attendant says yes, and then presses a button, revealing Victor and Nora Freeze frozen, wires attached to them monitoring them. The attendant reveals himself as Victor Freeze Jr., and he's the kid from the beginning of the story. Bruce is shocked to see them like this, but Victor reassures him, saying they're like that by choice, and this is all part of their ice devotion mission. Still confused, Bruce asks what that mission is, and then Victor says his parents believe that ice has always hidden wonders for science. They started V-Corps to preserve people's bodies in ice until a cure for their diseases is found. The frozen people hope to be revived one day so they can continue living. Soon, Victor Jr. tells Bruce he used to be one of those frozen people and was revived. When he was a kid, Jr. was diagnosed with a rare disease, which led his parents to decide to freeze him. Meanwhile, in parallel, the story continues to show more of the conversation Bruce is having with his friends. Croc says if Bruce keeps being alone, he's gonna end up dead. Back in the present, Bruce tries to find clues while forcing a conversation with Victor to keep him distracted. Bruce then sees something on the computer about an ancient bacteria, and this makes him conclude that the question isn't where the bacteria came from, but when. Right after that, Victor Jr. says that ice isn't what everyone thinks. He transforms and says that all the time he was frozen, he felt pain. He says ice creates monsters, and then the story ends with Victor already transformed into this creature, attacking Bruce. In another flashback, Bruce's friends are saying he can't run away, while in the present, Bruce is being dragged by Victor Freeze Jr., Mr. Freeze, after being taken down by the villain. Freeze carries Bruce to a dome connected to a pipe to conduct an experiment on him since he realized Wayne was hiding something by giving him a fake identity. Bruce tries to protect himself but passes out before he can do anything. Soon after, Bruce wakes up inside the dome. Victor wants to keep him frozen in ice, just like he was in the past. The monster wants Bruce to feel the same pain he felt when he was frozen. Alongside Bruce, there are more frozen people, several from powerful families like the Powers and the Gates. They all believe that ice would help them escape anything, but Victor tells Wayne that actually, ice isn't salvation, ice is a memory everyone wants to forget. Before being frozen, Bruce remembers arguing with his friends in Crime Alley before all this happened. Waylon Jones is arguing with Bruce, saying Wayne shouldn't end up like Matches Malone did, a coward. Bruce gets furious and charges at his friend. Meanwhile, in the present, Bruce is suffering intensely in the ice, and now there's nothing but agony. Back to the flashback, Bruce and Waylon are fighting. Bruce asks why Waylon called him a coward, and Waylon replies it's because of everything he did in the past to stop Black Mask, wanting to face the villain alone and go on suicidal missions. Along with that dialogue, Waylon easily takes Bruce down. As Bruce's body freezes more and more, he remembers Waylon's words from the past, saying that Matches Malone blamed himself for what happened to Thomas Wayne. Bruce's dad didn't survive the massacre at the zoo because he couldn't find Matches, and that always haunted Matches to the point he grew up reckless, just like Bruce blamed himself in the past for choosing to visit the zoo, ending up becoming who he is now. In the present, Bruce manages to shoot a batarang with his gauntlet to break the glass of the dome holding him captive. At the same time he's remembering his friend Waylon lifting him up during their fight. Meanwhile, Mr. Freeze is talking to someone mysterious. Somehow, he managed to put the bacteria in the snow falling in Gotham, and everyone exposed to that snow will become susceptible to this mysterious person's experiments, having their genetic data. Before finishing his conversation, Mr. Freeze is interrupted by Batman, who appears with a blowtorch on his gauntlet, ready to face his enemy. Freeze is quick, causing Batman to burn his enemy's face to gain an advantage. Even so, Batman can't stop Mr. Freeze, and the villain grabs Batman by the face and throws him against the wall. Freeze then decides to open the domes and bring the frozen people back to life. However, those people look more like zombies than people, and they're coming after Batman. While fighting off these zombies, Batman remembers once again the conversation he had with Wayland and his friends when Wayland asked Bruce if he wanted to die. Wayland says Thomas didn't die to somehow kill himself. What made him the hero we know was his attempt to save lives. Wayland concludes that this is the meaning of living in Crime Alley. Everyone is a survivor, and that's something Batman must strive for, not to be someone who seeks death but someone who seeks life. Wayland then asks Bruce again if he wants to die, and Bruce quickly replies no. At the same time, Batman tries to fend off the zombies but then decides to break free from Mr. Freeze's grasp and escapes by smashing through a wall. The Bat tries to contact Wayland while fleeing to tell him about Freeze and what he's done with Gotham's snow. Batman thanks his friend, saying he was right, and tells him to regroup with the others. Meanwhile, Wayland is taken by surprise and kidnapped by two men who say he's the perfect specimen. They leave him unconscious and take him to Arkham, wrapping up Absolute Zero here. This story arc has a really interesting name. I really like that they went with Absolute Zero for this arc. It fits perfectly with Absolute Batman and also with Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze is a Batman villain who emerged at the end of the Golden Age and the beginning of the Silver Age. He started out just as a guy who needed to wear a low-temp suit to stay alive, and actually, when he first showed up in the comics, he was called Mr. Zero. In Batman 66, the villain was renamed Mr. Freeze, and only in Batman, the animated series, did Victor Freeze have his backstory fully rewritten into the one we all know, a scientist who froze his wife until he found a cure for her disease, but ended up having a lab accident to turn him into Mr. Freeze. The animated series version was so successful that it remains the best version involving the character even today. Now, in Absolute Batman, Scott Snyder, who's the writer of this comic, brought a different version to this universe, which is an alternate Earth. In one of the alternate covers drawn by Brian Bolland, we see Mr. Freeze in a sort of Nosferatu form, so we're definitely dealing with a completely different version than we're used to. Unfortunately, this story arc ends up leaving several details open and unexplained, but all my thoughts on these stories involving Absolute Zero are in the review videos for each issue. But now, I want to know from you, did you enjoy this story? Did you like this version of Mr. Freeze? Which version of Mr. Freeze do you prefer? Please drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm already keeping an eye out. And before you go, don't forget to leave your absolute like on this video, your absolute subscription to the channel, and activate the absolute bell so that you stay updated on everything happening in DC, and catch more complete stories as they come out here on the channel. Subscribe because that's how you stay in the loop. Also, consider supporting our work through the thanks button near the subscribe button. That way, you help us bring even more videos than usual for you, and always with even higher quality. Thanks a million for all the help you give us. For you who love Absolute Batman or want to know everything about this new version of Batman, check out this video popping up on your screen now and discover everything that happened in the first editions in one complete video. To catch every detail, secret, and Easter egg in each issue of Absolute Batman, click on the playlist next to see our full reviews. Thank you so much for being here in this video. See you next time.